Hi, I'm John Mayfield, the Real Estate Tech Guy, with another Global Real Estate School podcast. Welcome to the podcast. This is John Mayfield, the Real Estate Tech Guy, and this is episode 050. Yes, my 50th podcast episode, so I'm very excited about that. And we've been talking about leasehold estates, non-freehold estates. Remember, a freehold estate is when you own real estate, and it could actually go on indefinitely, forever, right? But a non-freehold estate, also sometimes referred to as leasehold estates, these are estates that do have some type of a termination or a cutting off period. Now, it could be a 99-year ground lease. It could be a 400-year oceanfront ground lease. Although I've never really heard of anything for 400 or 500 years, I'm sure it could be. Legally, you won't be asked that on the test, so don't worry about that. But normally a long-term ground or oil lease may go on for 99 years. Well, there is an expiration date, right? So we call those non-freehold estates, or also leasehold estates. We've talked about an estate for years. Remember, an estate for years has a definite beginning date and a definite ending date. If you're reading a math question, or let me just rephrase that, if you are reading a real estate question, may not be specifically math related, and it tells you that it's an 8-month lease, or they lease an apartment for the summer months from June the 1st to July the 31st, that's an estate for years. Why? Because the question tells you that there's a time period, a beginning date and an ending date. We also talked about an estate at sufferance. It's the lowest form of an estate. Why? Because it's like a holdover tenant or someone who's not paying their rent. And today we want to talk about an estate from period to period, or sometimes referred to as a periodic tenancy. A periodic tenancy. Now, periodic tenancy is a great example of just a month-to-month rent. I pay you 30 days rent, you stay there for 30 days. Now, I come in and give you another month's rent, I can stay there for another 30 days. With a periodic tenancy, you do have to give proper notice to vacate the property. So if I'm going to move out, I have to give you notice that, hey, I'll be out in 30 days. A lot of my personal rentals that I do, even though I could have a lease signed, but most of my rentals I do on a periodic tenancy. Now, I do that for one specific reason. If the tenant's bad, I would just as soon get rid of them. So after 30 days, I can give them notice that they have to vacate the property in 30 days. But with a periodic tenancy, it is just simply for the period of time. It does not have to be in writing. Unless it's over a year, but if I pay you a year's rent, I can stay there for a year, and that payment is what distinguishes or makes the periodic tenancy different than a tenancy at will, which is what we will talk about on the next podcast. So don't forget, periodic tenancy, it is an estate that continues from period to period, such as a month-to-month rental or a yearly rental, year-to-year rental. Now remember, periodic tenancy, there is a notice required to terminate, but with an estate for years, definite beginning date, definite ending date, I don't have to give you any notice to vacate. I can just be out when the lease is up. You got to know the leasehold estates or non-freehold estates, very important for you in order to pass the real estate examination. Thank you for listening to the podcast for Global Real Estate School. I'm John Mayfield, the Real Estate Tech Guy. Go out and make it a great day.